Good evening, dear friends, and welcome to day 198 of a poem a day for 2026. It is Friday. We've made it through another working week. It's been an up and down day. I got into the office. I managed to crack out my required number of cases. I listened to some good music. And then an hour and a half before I had planned to leave, I crashed really hard. Ended up coming home early. I had planned to try and push through a bit and get some stuff done around the flat, but then got caught up playing a Dragons game on my phone. Because I sat down to do this, and I was like, I'll get this out of the way, and then I'll do some bits, and then I'll just chill. Bearing in mind that I got home just after 5, and it's now 7:10. But I'm feeling less tired, so I'll take that as a win. And I think I've got something easy for dinner, so... And actually, I managed to get quite a lot done before I left for the office this morning, around the flat, so... I still should be able to achieve a reasonably relaxed evening. However, we do need to share some poetry. So... And that's something I have been looking forward to. It's one thing I really like about listening to lots of different music, and oddly enough, I've been told I don't particularly give off this vibe, but I enjoy a lot of different rap music because it's kind of just poetry at pace. Cass and Meg seem to be having a conversation. Yeah, it's probably why I like Hamilton so much. But yeah. To today, 17th of July, The Schoolboy by William Blake. And our blurb reads as follows. Here is another of Blake's Songs of Innocence, a song about enjoying the summer of our lives. Blake's schoolboy asks why we must turn over our spring years to dull education and waste our finest years. So this is The Schoolboy by William Blake. I love to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. The distant huntsman winds his horn, and the skylark sings with me. Oh, what sweet company! But to go to school in a summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outworn, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. Ah, then at times I drooping sit, and spend many an anxious hour, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower, worn through with the dreary shower. How can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? How can a child, when fears annoy, but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? Oh, father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day by sorrow and care's dismay, how shall the summers arise in joy, or the summer fruits appear? Or how shall we gather what grief destroys, or bless the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear? I like it, but it also feels a little bit dramatic. Don't get me wrong, school was hard. I As somebody with undiagnosed ADHD and some significant autistic traits, school was hard. I didn't get anywhere near the support I should have. Um, Thankfully, I seemed to be drawn towards um, people of similar proclivities to myself. And in middle school, I was welcomed very much with open arms by a group of lads who saw in me some kind of kin. We were all very fond of wrestling, and we would, during the summer when we were allowed on the school field, we would play wrestling on breaks and lunch times. And when we weren't allowed on, when it wasn't summer, we would, we were on the tarmac playground, we would play bumper cars, which would involve us crossing our arms across our chests and running at each other. That's a very vivid and very fond memory. How none of us ended up seriously injured, I will never know. Yeah. But yeah, I was very much one of the boys. But we were all very nerdy. And with the exception of the slight irritation that we had to study and do that, it was a lot of fun. It definitely got more difficult in secondary school because there was more pressure. But when I moved from my hometown to where I spent the next 20 years before I moved to where I am now, and I joined that middle school the end of year 4 through to the end of year 7, that was probably the sweet spot of my childhood. Yeah. So yeah, while I get what Blake is saying about wasting the summers of our lives in education or at school, or not necessarily wasting our lives in education. Education is hugely important. I don't necessarily fully agree that we're not having adventures and getting things and having experiences. Yeah. While I would not trade anything in the world to go back to school, absolutely not. At the time, spot on. Yeah. I hope you've all had a good week, friends. Or, if not good, I hope your week has been neutral. So, not bad, but it has just been a week. Starting to change some language or trying to reframe things of, if things can't necessarily be good, then we're aiming for neutrality. I think that's helping a little bit. It feels less pressure, which is good. But yeah. And if you're not working this weekend, I hope that you have exactly the kind of weekend that you want. Whether that's busy, whether you have activities planned, time with the family, time to yourself, or something in between, whether you find that perfect balance. And if you are working, then I hope that things aren't too busy. I hope that everything ticks along just right for that perfect pace where the day doesn't drag. And if you want it to race by, I hope that happens. But yeah. I wish good and or neutral things for all of you. Delete as appropriate. I am going to go and feed my fluffy children and myself and just decompress a little bit more. In the hopes that when we get down to it, we can all have a very good night.